I want to go to David Icke of davidicke.com. I want to thank everybody that's made exposing Bilderberg possible. David Icke has exposed it for 20 years with people saying it didn't exist. Jim Tucker, that died about a month ago, he exposed it for about 35 years, the real trailblazer. I've been exposing it for 18 years. Sites like davidicke.com, naturalnews.com, infowars.com, and the biggest in the last 6 years, drudgereport.com. Drudge was the only big outlet in the U.S. Other than InfoWars, that would put it on his site when we covered it and foreign press, like The Guardian covered it, forcing the Washington Post, after 50-plus years of attendance, the Graham family to admit it exists. So that's the big issue. They don't want you to know there's something above presidents and prime ministers. And Bilderberg is right up there at the top of the pyramid, and now it's merging with Google and the technocracy that David Icke has talked so much about. And so I want to do a couple things here. I want to get David's take on how they're acting like we, the media, and the demonstrators that are coming, like we're dirty and we're bad, and then GS, security coming out, and G4S security coming out, this big globalist outfit, and saying, oh, the only place you're allowed to have press in Watford. In fact, they're saying on the city sidewalks and this rural countryside area that the hotel's at, that no one's allowed to walk on the sidewalk or on the grass, and that citizens have to show their ID. This is in the newspaper, the police chief. And the county sheriff as well. You'll have to show your ID to walk down the street or drive a car. They've got checkpoints set up. This is martial law. And I've talked to the head cop liaison, and he says, he's a listener and doesn't particularly like what's going on, but I'm not going to say much more. I don't want to get him in trouble. I don't think he's playing good cop, bad cop. He gets that he's compartmentalized, as David Icke has said. Here are the people protecting this and oppressing the people while they themselves are being oppressed and destroyed. So I want to get his take on that made him so angry in a letter that we published on Infowars.com last week, or earlier. Yes, it was last week. I'm a bit jet lagged, folks. Sorry, haven't had any sleep. And then I want him to get into why they're merging with Google, because we have inside moles. That was a big story we broke 2 weeks ago. That's why they don't want us in the hotel days ahead and threw us out, because Google is meeting there now and for a week after, and it's almost a permanent command base. Turns out they hatched a bunch of World War II OSS stuff there. Turns out they hatched the Arab Spring there. This Watford compound is key and has a transhumanist skeleton merging with a machine climbing out of a reflecting pool in the back. So without further ado, I want to thank David Icke for being such a big part of this. He can bring out 6,000 to 7,000 people easily. And so if that many show up, they're going to make it hard, folks, but you got to do it. This could bring down Bilderberg politically by forcing it out into the media. If they miscalculate, if the police abuse anybody, or if the security people do, that will backfire. I believe we have these guys by the short hairs. David Icke, again, former head of the Green Party, champion goalie, BBC sports reporter, and, of course, best-selling author. And say which one about David Icke. He gets people thinking. David Icke, what do you make of how historic this year is? And do you disagree with me that this is a key time and a key opportunity here outside of London?
I think it is. I think we are looking at an historic moment, and in terms of the history of exposure. And what I wonder, Alex, coming from England and knowing the geography and the location and all that stuff, is what on earth are they doing meeting in that hotel in Watford? I mean, they must have a very good reason for it, because from a protest point of view, they're 30 minutes by a train from central London. They're a short journey in a car, really, from the second biggest city in England, Birmingham, the East Midlands cities, which are just up the motorway. They're actually at a place where so many people, they're in the middle of a vast population area, and so either they miscalculated, or they hope they'll cause trouble and do a problem reaction solution, or there's another reason why it has to be that hotel, because what they've done is create a situation in which the people, instead of having to go to them, they've almost come to us. In 1995, Alex, the great Jim Tucker did a round-robin email saying that the Bilderberg meeting was a place called Bergenstock in Switzerland. And as coincidence would have it, I was staying with some friends about 2 hours away at the same time, though I didn't know that when I agreed to go. So on the day before, I went across there, down the 2 hours, down the motorway, freeway, and I went up to 3 enormously flash hotels, the Park, the Palace, and the Grand, at the top of this mountain. It was basically in the middle of nowhere, and there was just like not much more than a village down the bottom of the mountain. And I saw them putting up the temporary fences. I saw the people walking around with their name tags on, and there was no one around protesting. I mean, Jim was there somewhere, but I didn't meet him. And then I went back on the last day of the Bilderberg meeting that year, 1995, and I wanted to see if I could get closer when it was going on. I couldn't even get on the mountain. Right down in the entrance onto the mountain road from the village, there was the Swiss police. The guys had, I remember them, big orange luminous jackets on. And I said to them, I just want to go up to the hotel. They said, oh, no, you can't. There's something going on. And I asked the guy, so what is it, mate, playing the idiot? Why can't I go on? What's going on? And he just said to me, I don't know, but it's top secret, he said. And I sat there and I thought, that's compartmentalization for you. You, a guy that the people at the top of that mountain are conspiring to manipulate your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life, and you are protecting them when you don't even know they're there and the agenda that's happening.
By the way, David, we're going to skip this. We're going to skip this network break because I got to you a little bit late. We're going to skip this break. This is the perfect example of everything you're talking about. Please continue.
And so it's going to be quite emotional, I think, very likely, when I come up there, because having stood at the bottom of that mountain and saw just nothing in front of me, and I couldn't even see the hotels are so far away. Here we are now, looking in their face, and I do urge as many people as possible to come along in total peace, and I'm sure that's what the vast majority's intent will be. But let's make a massive statement by numbers that we are not having this anymore, and that we are starting to figure out what's going on. And this is such a wonderful opportunity for massive exposure. You've got the media now. I do have to laugh. You've got the mainstream media who are now covering it and often making fun of the alternative media. The media, overwhelmingly, well, in fact, if you go back to 1995 and when Jim Tucker was the trailblazer, the media entirely that will be there covering this event would not be there this weekend if it wasn't for the alternative media, if it wasn't for the Jim Tuckers. They trailblazed this when no one else wanted to know, and the media were just laughing and ignoring it.
And David, isn't this...
And Jim trailblazed it, and the mainstream media have had to follow us, and they better get used to it because it's only just started.
No, I totally agree, and that's where I was going. In my gut, in my intellect, in my spirit, at every level, this is a microcosm of the entire world, the entire universe of what's happening. And I want you to elaborate on that. And Mike Adams, who's riding shotgun, to pop in with any of his views on this, because here is Westbrook Pegler covering this 60 years ago, not even knowing its name. Tucker picks it up 36 years ago, and it wasn't until a decade ago that really even foreign press would cover it. And now I talk to people on the airplane, they know what it is, even if they don't know who David Icke is or Alex Jones. So again, this shows our power, the people's power, that they've gone from a stone wall, doesn't exist. There aren't 2 billion bullets. There aren't armored vehicles. There aren't NSA spying on you. There isn't a new world order. We're not putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. We're not giving you GMO to kill you, to where we were all on the airplane flying here last night, and I was talking to people, they're going, Henry Kissinger wants a new world order and he's scum, and GMO's designed to sterilize us with chemicals in it. And I'm going, do you know who I am? No, who are you? And it was, I'm telling you, David, people are either getting more zombie or they're getting more awake, and I think it's coming to a crescendo. And as you just said, their arrogance, by the way, I read this 2 weeks ago, and then looked it up, and it's true. This is on some weird ritual site that had a stone circle at it before they built this palace that royalty would have parties at. And then they brag on the side of the thing that people have been coming here to party and mate for 6,000 years. So it is some type of weird power site for them. But just interjecting, I totally agree. This is historical. This is the Bilderberg meeting to be to, folks. This is it. This is where we force the global shadow government out in the open. David Icke.
Well, you know, what I was saying earlier, Alex, about, you know, why have they held it here in that great, you know, population area, and I kept saying, or some other reason. Well, that's what I was talking about when I said that. You know, the Bilderberg group is very, very significant, but it is a strand in a gigantic web, and you go much deeper in the rabbit hole than the Bilderberg group to find the source. And from that comes a deep knowledge of the nature of reality, the nature of the Earth's energy field, the fact that everything is conscious, and if you can do things to the Earth energy field, you can affect the collective consciousness of everyone, because at the energetic electromagnetic level, we are interacting with the planet, we're interacting with all energetic fields. And this is why they're constantly doing their rituals. And they do select Bilderberg meetings based on this, and this is a classic example. So in many ways, when you look at it from that point of view, there was only one place they were going to come, which is there for energetic reasons. This is what you find and understand when you go deeper in the rabbit hole. And when you get down there, you also realize that there is a reason or an explanation for the apparent blatant contradiction between a network of families and secret societies who are systematically dismantling the planet and the fact that they have to live here. I mean, this is not the time to go into it, but they want to change the planet into a different state that suits something.
And that's what's so crazy, is that they tell us all day we want to kill the Earth, and then they say they're the saviors, while they're the ones on every front, GMO, chemicals, you name it, actively trying to not even play a good God, but to play a destructive, ugly God. And David, expanding on that, even if other people don't believe in the occult and things, I snuck into Bohemian Grove. I have, covered Skull and Bones. You said that Savelle was, running kids to the royal family 15 years ago. Now it's come out the guy was, this total Satanist. And for those of us that aren't like these people, we're blind to it because we can't see into that dark spectrum that they inhabit, that they operate in. And expanding on that, that's why they've been so scared of exposure, because as you said, Bilderberg was just one uncovered part of, say, a temple out in the Sahara Desert, one little piece sticking up, and they said, oh, that's not part of a temple, don't go dig over there. And we started digging like archaeologists and are now digging and finding this giant submerged structure. Is that a good analogy?
Well, yeah, we can bring a few things together here. First of all, understanding that these people at the Bilderberg group, I'm looking through the list in front of me that is said to be coming this year, they look rich and powerful people, and on one level they're rich and powerful people, but in the greater scheme of the global network, they are gophers, and they are terrified on one side of those much deeper in the rabbit hole, because this is a whole edifice of fear that they're caught in. And on the other side, there's still massive compartmentalization, and a lot of the people there will know some of the picture, but they won't know all of it. And these people who are really in the know, they worship these gods. They've been talked about in every culture for eons under different names, and they interact with these gods. And what I'm talking about gods, I'm talking about non-human entities, and they are seeking to change the planet to suit them. This is why they are using GMO and goodness knows how many other methods to change human DNA. This is why they're doing the genetic modification of animals, of plants, and all the rest of it. They are seeking to turn this planet into something that is right for them. And this has been an ongoing thing for centuries.
Well, let me say this. I mean, they are publicly, as you know, in all their publications saying they're a different species than us. We're animals, they're God, and that they're going to transcend and merge with machines. And so, again, just from a news perspective, whether it's true or not, when I was at Bohemian Grove, they were worshiping. They are occultist. They believe this is real. And I want you to come back and get into whatever you want with Mike Adams, because I'm going to leave you, David, so that you can have some time here. You're going to be in studio with us sometime on Friday during the show, Friday evening, British time. I think we were talking during the break. You're good for that, correct?
Yeah, I'll see you Friday.
All right, fantastic. But let me ask you this question as we get ready to go to break. You've got a few minutes here. Specifically, though, calling out the troops, because you know you're huge all over the world. I have a big audience here in the UK as well, but you're really probably biggest here in the UK. You know, where you can get 7,000-8,000 people out at an event. What do you think people should do? What are points you think that they should be making? I mean, we don't really talk about talking points, but what do you think the most important message is to get out here?
Well, I think the biggest message is numbers. If we get a very large number of people turning up at this event, I mean, you know, what we've just discussed, Alex, this is what we're looking at here is absolutely unprecedented. The way that it's set up, and then we can actually get in to the grounds and stuff like that. Yes, the security will be ludicrous, and you know, just so over the top. But I mean, the people that run the world are insane. I mean, you know, that's the penny that needs to drop before you start understanding the world we live in. They're mad. But if we calmly and peacefully assemble in large numbers, I mean, even focus it on the Saturday when people are you know, are not working, and let's make a statement in numbers that people, including the mainstream media, that
just numbers,
cannot ignore. You see, this is the thing. You see, what you're talking about on the train. The people, vast numbers of people now, are far more aware of the world they live in than the journalists who are reporting the world they live in.
Let's come back and talk about that with David Icke of DavidIcke.com. Riding shotgun for Mission Control in Austin, Texas is Mike Adams.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at INFOWARSstore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com, and don't forget it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at InfoWars.com/newsletter.
We're continuing now on the Alex Jones Show. Thank you for joining us. Alex Jones and David Icke are both joining us by phone and Skype, reporting live from the UK. And also to both of you guys, before I turn it over, Alex, when you're done, when you want to turn it over to me, I want to keep David Icke on the air. I've got more questions for David if he's available to take some more questions.
Absolutely, he's with us for the rest of the hour.
Excellent.
I'm going to get out of here right now. Of course, I'm jet lagged, but now I've got a total energy once I got on air. It's just that I'm going to let you and David now take it from here, and then you can ask any questions you've got of David. It's just that listeners know this about me. I don't hype something up unless I really believe in it. And this is so huge and historical, what's happening, that I don't feel like I am properly imparting to people how big this is. The awakening that's going on. And one of two things happened. I got in to UK border, to customs, And the EU citizens, that's the Brits under the EU, they all went right through. But myself and hundreds of others went and got in line for about an hour, and everybody was just going instantly through. Nobody was getting stopped. People were just straight through. If they let you get a ticket here, then you're usually let right in. But when we got up there, 3 extra women came over, men lined up behind the counter, myself and Leanne McAdoo. This didn't happen when Richard flew in the day before, Richard Reeves. And they all lined up and were looking at us and were making a decision. And then she interrogated us probably 4 or 5 times longer than they did other people. And they were looking for some technicality like Canada did one time, saying, who's paying you to be here? And I said, I told you, I'm a media person. And they all knew who I was. That was clear. As all these people lined up waiting for something. And then they said, okay. And she reluctantly stamped it. And I got in. In the past, Jim Tucker's been blocked out of countries, and then he's got to go to another country in Europe to get back in. In the past, Daniel Estlin's been blocked. In the past, I've been blocked. And so the fact that they didn't block me showed that they do not want a lot of press attention, which is exactly what they're getting. We're seeing, no exaggeration, 3 or 4 times the coverage we saw last year. Last year was 3 or 4 times the coverage we saw the year before that. It is exponential. So I wanted to ask David Icke, in closing, and I'm going to throw the interview over to Mike Adams and David, again, just how historical this is, what he thinks Bilderberg is thinking, and what he thinks the establishment is going to do to strike back because humanity is waking up. And then I'll be back tomorrow live, hosting probably an hour and a half or so with David Knight. We're going to have live video feeds, live audio feeds, text, chat, all of it. As stuff breaks, we'll have live feeds that then get archived at INFOWARS.com/Bilderberg. And I want to ask listeners and viewers, even if you can't come to this event in England, because I understand it's a great expense. Believe me, it's hard for us to come and bring this crew in. It is so important that you spread the word about the demonstrations and about the press, and that you write articles yourself, or blurbs, or you do YouTube videos about what's happening. So David, that's my final question for you, and then I'm going to turn the show for the rest of the hour over to you and Mike Adams. David Icke, how important is it for people around the world to talk about this on the internet and to watch our video streams, listen to our audio streams, and give this attention and focus on the resistance?
Well, it's a simple situation, really. That which wishes to be secret, that which works in the shadows, that which wishes to keep what it's doing secret from the public, then the antidote for that is the opposite. It's making what they're doing as public as possible. And we've reached the point, we have reached this critical point where people in enough numbers are starting to see it, that the difference is starting to cause a shift. Because, once you have a certain number of people that know something, then that number of people tell another number of people. Then now you've got a bigger number of people, and they tell people from their level of awareness, much greater numbers, and the exponential curve starts to turn towards the sky. And this is where we are now. We're at this point where they can't keep it secret anymore. And, the experience you've just described at the airport, I've had that in different airports around the world. I've had it in Australia, where they tried to think of a way in exactly the same way. How can we think of a credible way of not letting this guy in? But then they go, well, hold on a second. If we do stop the fella, it's going to cause more publicity for what they're doing than if we just let him in. And so if you, it's like I said on my website, when they decided that they were going to have an area for people at this Bilderberg event, look what happens when you won't take no from the system. This is what we must understand.
But David, you've got to tell them what you did. You've got to tell them what you did, though.
You look at the number of people who are almost certainly going to turn up this weekend, and you look at the number of people in the hotel at the Bilderberg event. There will be far more turning up to make their feelings known than people in that hotel. Now, think that the people in that hotel, tiny number, are making decisions
Sure.
This is not the tail wagging the dog. It's not the tail wagging the elephant. It's the tail wagging the planet that we're looking at. And we have to realize that when we start to understand the power we have in numbers, the power we have when we say, no, we're not having it, then the house of cards will come down, because that's what it is. A house of cards, which is, we are holding together by our ignorance and by our acquiescence. We're starting to remove the ignorance. For large numbers of people are starting to see it. Now we have to remove the acquiescence and show ourselves in numbers that the game is up. This may not be the end. It's nothing like the end. But as Churchill once said, it may perhaps be the end of the beginning, and I think it is. It's the end of this stage where we've been building up to this point where there's enough awareness now, gathering all the time, that we can go on onto the next stage, and that is dismantling this bloody nonsense and bringing an end to it. Because these powerful people on this list in front of me, they're little boys in short trousers. That's what they are. Pathetic little people playing little games with the lives of the population of the world. And we say enough, it's over. And we can make a mighty statement this weekend that enough is the point we've reached.
All right, Mike Adams, you take it over. I just want to thank all of you. I want to thank the crew, because I'm punching out now. And I want to thank all of you, the listeners, our affiliates, everybody. I just have a real feeling of thankfulness to everybody that loves liberty that we've gotten to this point. And we're not hyping this, folks. This is a big deal. Mike Adams, you take over till 5 after with David Icke. Then Gerald Celente is coming up. And again, ladies and gentlemen, all the news at INFOWARS.com/Bilderberg, DavidIcke.com, and, of course, naturalnews.com. But again, just amazing. I'm going to turn it over. Mike, you bring up some wild card questions here for David Icke, and I'll see everybody back tomorrow on the show. Alex Jones signing off for now. Back to David Icke.
Visit INFOWARS.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.